Okay, so that's enough of the 2-note combinations. Now, the next thing we're going to get into is 3-note combinations. So let's go back to D, E, and F. So when we figure out something like this, now let's start on D. So we're going to go D, E, F, and then back to E. So we're just going to play them up and then down. So whenever you're doing this, you want to think of, okay, where's my first finger? And then don't do any kind of wacky stretching if you don't need to. So we skipped this fret. We're skipping over the 4th fret. So skip that finger too. Skip your 2nd finger. So we have the 1st finger, the 3rd finger, and then the 4th finger. So you need to practice that combination. That's a super duper common. Actually, it's kind of like the beginning of a minor scale. So there's that combination. Then now you think, okay, we're in this key. We can keep moving up. So instead of D, E, and F, let's take E, F, and G. So now we're starting there on the 5th fret. So now the finger combination is slightly different. We still have the 1st finger and we have the 3rd finger. Sorry, the 1st finger and the 4th finger, but now we have the 2nd finger instead. So every single like major scale pattern that you see and all stuff, even if it's going across all strings, it's gonna have like a whole bunch of this exact same finger combination on every string. The first two, this D, those two shapes, like you're gonna see these shapes all the freaking time, guys. So you gotta make sure that you practice these. Again, that's why I think this is so important to make a video about. Let's try this with the drums. So here's D, E, and F. And then do a legato. And then now E, F, and G. And then actually, if you want to get really crazy, see if you can just keep it going without having to pick at all like this. Pick only the first note. That can be really, really challenging. So now I think you get the idea. We're just going to keep sort of taking that group of 3 notes and shifting it over within the key. So now look, we're going to use F, G, and A. So this is pretty much going to be the only actually other finger combination you're going to see, because the one from D, E, and F, which is the 1st, 3rd, and 4th, that's one of them. Then you got the 1st, 2nd, and 4th. And then actually, this one is going to be kind of tricky as well because it's more of a stretch. There's a fret skip between each note, F, G, and A. Now, I've seen some people, technically you could pick multiple different ways to do this, but 99.9% of the time that I play this, I actually use my 1st, 2nd, and then 4th finger. So I find it a bit easier to stretch between the 1st and 2nd finger than, for example, between the 3rd and the 4th finger. That's like really, really tough on the pinky. But we need to practice this one too, because this one's going to come up all the time, all the time. So let's try this one. So F, G, and A with the 1st, 2nd, and 4th finger. And then if you get really crazy, start trying some 16th note triplets. It's like this. Da, 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 triplet, 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 pop. Like that. So, and then do it backwards. All of these, make sure you do them upwards and backwards. So starting on A. So A, G, and F. And like I said, once you get to that 16th note triplet speed, that's where like I could pick it, but I actually don't even like how it sounds as much. Like I messed it up a little bit there in the beginning. But even once I'm starting to hit it, it doesn't sound quite as good as if I just play it legato, you know. It's just way easier and way smoother to do it. So that's why that legato stuff is so important. I use it all the time. Don't feel like you need to wait until you're this absolute beast at alternate picking before you can actually end up playing fast stuff. You gotta be able to just take advantage of whatever's the easiest way to play the thing that you want to play, right? So that's basically it for the single note stuff, okay? So we got a couple more things that we're gonna cover because now we do need to get through crossing over strings. And sorry, I said single note, I mean the single string stuff. So combinations of 2 fingers and then combinations of 3 fingers. And I highly recommend doing this as part of the major scale on that string so that you actually get usable finger patterns instead of just random like chromatic stuff that you're not really going to actually use in any music. So for those of you who actually know the notes on the fretboard, you should be able to know what notes are on the adjacent string. By the way, if you don't know the notes on the fretboard, make sure you check out my video, the best way to memorize all the notes on the fretboard, and then this will be super easy for you. But let's now start taking a look at the 3rd string. So we're gonna take some of these finger combinations and then we're gonna expand it to a 2nd string. So actually, right here, for example, we have all of these notes on the 3rd string that are available for us to use. So if we say, okay, let's take 3 notes that are on the 2nd string and then 3 notes that are right next to it on the 3rd string, now all of a sudden we're actually getting what is starting to resemble one of these major scale patterns that we have that go across positions. That's literally all these patterns are, is saying, okay, what notes are in the major scale, and let's find all those notes that are in that position. So we can take E, F, and G on the 2nd string, and then C, D, and E that's on the 3rd string. So actually, with those, I'm going to use the same fingers because I told you whenever I have that big, the one that has all the skips in between each of the notes, I like to use my 1st, 2nd, and 4th finger. So actually, you can play all these. So let's try now doing that. So we're going to play 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 on the 3rd string. So now we're practicing. Actually, we have to keep that going across the string and not be able to stop. And then, of course, if you want to start improvising a little bit, try to change the order. So you see there, now all of a sudden, we're implementing that last piece of the puzzle, which is we developed the speed with our pick, we developed the speed with our fingers on one string, and now we're developing transferring that and being able to do that across strings without stopping. So actually, let's try another one that doesn't repeat any notes, because there we actually had these 2 E notes in the pattern. Let's try E, F, and G on the 3rd string now, and then we're actually going to have A, B, and C on the 2nd string. So if you look there in the diagram, you see E, F, and G on the 3rd string. So the 9th, 10th, and 12th fret, 3rd string, and then the 10th, 12th, and 13th on the 2nd string. So let's try that one. So now that's alternate picking. Now this is with legato. Now backwards. So first was alternate and then legato. So if you can do that over and over, chances are you're gonna play fast. So you see there, all of a sudden, these are literally starting to turn into a whole entire scale pattern. Okay, so let's take a look at this scale pattern here. So now this is actually one that's very commonly used. It's what's called a 3-note per string pattern. And if you notice, the whole entire thing is literally made up of all those building blocks that we've already covered in this lesson. So on the 6 strings, you have the same exact pattern the entire time. C, D, E, and then F, G, A. So those skipping a fret in between each note. Then in the middle 2 strings, the 4th and 3rd, you have B, C, D, and then E, F, G. So there's that 1, 2, and 4 finger combination where you got the half step between 1 and 2. And then finally, the last 2 strings, the 2nd and 1st, you have A, B, C, and then D, E, F. See, again, you see the logic behind this is we figured out all the possible combinations that we're going to end up having on just 1 string, and then we expanded it to being across the strings. And now you can throw on a drum track and try to play through this whole thing. So I like to play through these legato because you just pick the first note on each string and then hammer on the rest of them if you're going up, or pick the first note and pull off the rest of them if you're going down. Let's actually start from the top. That's a much less commonly heard thing when people play a scale starting from the top and going down. So let's try that. There you go. And now let's try doing it from the bottom to top. And then, of course, you can try to pick the whole thing. But you see, now I'm already comfortable with this idea because I've already worked on all of these finger patterns. And then, of course, once you get really comfortable just playing a scale up and down like that, maybe just improvise a little bit. Take each string and go back and forth like this. And again, you can always use that burst technique where you go and then give yourself a little break. That break can do wonders for resetting everything in your hands. And then finally, like all the stuff that I talk about, try to improvise with it a little bit. And that's where, when you're improvising, those other 2-note combinations come in. Like a lot of times I'll skip the middle note. Like for example, in the 3rd string, I'll go from E to G. And then try to skip some strings. So if you want to learn how to master the guitar fretboard so that you can take all of these ideas that we talked about in this video and be able to apply your newfound guitar speed to be able to play in any key over any chord progression and be able to understand how to do these things in every single possible place on the fretboard instantly, then make sure you head on over to Jamsville.com and pick up the Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course for literally the price of less than 1 guitar lesson with any guitar teacher basically on the face of the planet. You can learn how to master the guitar fretboard, play in any key, learn all the chords you need to, everything. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. It really, really helps out. And until next time, listen, learn, and jam.